Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out the beta version of a game called Robot Roller Derby Disco Dodgeball, which is quite a mouthful to pronounce, which is why we're just going to call it Disco Dodgeball for short, and I believe that is generally what's been accepted as like the primary title of the game. What is Disco Dodgeball, you may wonder? It is a primarily arena-driven multiplayer shooter, only instead of guns, we're throwing dodgeballs at each other. It's a thing that seems so very simple, yet has never seemed to exist in the realm of shooters as far as I'm aware. This is probably the first time this has ever been done, and I think developer Erik Asmussen did a great job so far in the early version with creating a pretty fun and entertaining scenario where we can just throw some balls at each other and have a good time. So let's look at what we've got in terms of modes. There is a Greenlight campaign for this one, by the way, and as well as you can buy the soundtrack off the main menu, which is kind of a nice touch. There are probably some features that are not quite done or settled yet, but for now, let's have a look at what's here. So we've got an array of levels. We've got random to pick from any of these. We've got Arena, Ring, Airborne, Chasm, and Core. Then game types, Deathmatch, your standard, you know, fire a ball at each other, try and get a point. Not sure at what point the round ends, but I think it's probably something like 15. Score battle, where you're rewarded for special skill shots, where if you do a special, like a long distance one, you might get an additional point. Elimination, where if you kill someone on the other team, they stay dead until the end of the round. Training, where you can just fight bots and try and get a little bit better. And then hoops, where you're trying to throw the ball through hoops. Kind of self-explanatory, I suppose. So the main thing about the game is you're playing as robots. You've got this momentum system. You try to, launch yourself off ramps into the air. There's crazy lights and flashing colors everywhere, and not quite to the extent that maybe I need to issue a seizure warning, although, maybe there's a little bit of that element. And just a lot of great music. So let's start a match. We're going to do number of players. Let's do 6. And then we're going to make easy bots for now, because I'm pretty bad at the game, to be honest. We'll make a public listed room, and we'll just create it and see if anybody joins. And we'll take it from there. So here we go. We've got a couple of bots on our team, and when we go through this glass pane, this is when we become vulnerable to being hit. The general look of the game is quite nice, I find. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's not super like high def or anything, but it doesn't need to be, because this is not a game that plays like this. This is just really fun. It's just a game about having a good time. Probably with friends is the best way to experience it, but honestly, the game plays pretty well by itself as well. I've played it a little bit when it was in an earlier version. There was like a prototype version that's floating around on Reddit that had one of the levels, which was not quite finished and, not quite textured either, floating around. And, you got to play online with some friends and had a good time just playing with the people that showed up in the room. I think I ended up spending a good 15-20 minutes just running around throwing dodgeballs. And it's surprising to me that this idea has never really come to fruition in any other context. I mean, it's such a simple concept, just throwing stuff around in a room, even with sort of cartoonish avatars like this, makes for a great time killer. And especially when you add a bunch of modes and, pretty nice-looking graphics in terms of, being very flashy and colorful. The presentation quality is not bad, and the game feel in general, not bad as well. There's a charge-up meter when you go to throw the ball. There's a boost meter. There we go. We got a hit on that one. Jonathan killed you, Ricochet, kill streak 2, and it keeps track of all that stuff. The developer actually hired a real monster truck announcer to do the kill streak voicing and everything. So if we are lucky enough to get one of those situations to come up, then we will be presented with that. Okay, this is really a bad situation here. I really like how this floor tile situation also kind of lights up as you walk over it. I wish more of the levels did stuff like that, where there was like slightly more reactive things going on. The more dynamic stuff, I think, the better. I'm not sure how balanced each one of the level layouts are, but honestly, I don't know that I really care too much. This is, again, sort of a casual, fun game that's not really about min-maxing as much as it is just about, having a good time. There are still some issues occasionally that will come up. I've noticed one of those being I keep getting stuck on slants. Well, I shouldn't say I keep, but I've had it happen twice now, where if you walk in the edge of one of these corners, it's like your wheels don't know if you have traction or not, so you kind of just hang in the air there until you either get killed or reset your character. The other time I was able to somehow knock myself off of there, but I'm not really sure what I did to have that happen. I've also had the game lose focus occasionally, like if you go to Alt-Tab to another window, and then it's kind of difficult to get back into it. I think the trick was I just needed to hit backspace to go to the menu, but usually I associate the menu with escape. So I don't know, maybe that's just my own fault, but I just thought that was kind of strange. Game has pretty good netcode, I have to say. I've played a few rounds of it, and I haven't really experienced too much in the way of lag. It's also been quite easy to join games and to make my own matches, which is a thing that I really can't overstate is a terrific thing to run into, and it's not a thing that I see even nearly often enough. I mean, even playing a pretty popular indie game, Terraria, we've had quite a bit of trouble trying to make matches and get together with friends with that, and this was, you know, a breeze, honestly. It's a Unity game, so I think there might be some infrastructure when it comes to how you do multiplayer and such, but, you know, I'm honestly not probably the person to ask. Regardless, however the developer did it, I think he did a great job with it so far, and I think things are only going to continue to get better. So I mentioned it does have a Greenlight campaign. If this is a thing that you might want to go ahead and support, you might want to head on over there and give it a vote. It couldn't hurt. And maybe this is something we'll end up seeing on Steam, and I can imagine this would get quite a following, even if only casually, just amongst people who just want to, you know, pass some time. And I would love to see some Steam trading cards and achievements and stuff associated with this, especially if you, like, you get one for doing a skill shot of some kind. Oh, I'm glad I picked easy bots on this, because I'm not doing particularly well. Oh, I think that was one of my own guys threw that ball, just bounced right off of me. Whoa, got him. Alright, so I don't know what point value the level ends at, but I would think we're probably getting near that point now. Should also say again, the soundtrack really, really good. I've heard a bunch of the tracks now as they've gone by, and I think I've enjoyed all of them pretty well equally, and I think they all have a really good pacing and feeling to them that keeps you want to, you know, be a little bit more energetic. And not that I've really been to a disco in my lifetime, but I have definitely been to, like, some roller rinks and things, and it has a similar feel to it, strangely enough. So props on that as well. So match lost. We did not do so well there. We can head back out. Oh no, it's actually going to rotate to a new level, so I guess I don't even need to head out. I was just going to show off a couple of these. Yeah, there we go. It's a good shot. The feeling when you throw one of the balls has a nice feel to it, you know, especially when you get a nice hit off of like a ricochet or something. The ball has a nice bounce. I kind of feel like I wish it had that sound, and maybe it does have the sound, but it's turned too low and I can't tell, but the, I don't know what you call it, but like the bounce of the rubber ball off of the wall sound. That was a very tactile part of playing Dodgeball in my formative years in high school, or in, you know, middle school, whenever we did that. And it seems like a thing that maybe should be present and accounted for in a Dodgeball game, or at least like a, you know, a checkbox you can have on or off. This is sort of a client-side thing that could just be fun. And I would also love to see some wacky things show up, and I don't know, maybe this is even going to be in the works for the final version of the game, but if you could unlock silly things like a paintball mode, or, you know, where the ball might hit a wall and leave a splotch or something, like a decal, or various other things, like maybe having a blacklight mode come on, just, you know, even if it's sort of corny stuff, just sort of play to that strength of the game, and make it sort of like you have to earn cheats, sort of like in GoldenEye 007 or something. But even as it stands, a pretty strong game, even, you know, just because it really emphasizes the simplicity of what's going on. Look at our score right now. So, I don't have a lot of really negative things at all to say about the game, and honestly, there's not, I think you could really, to make an argument about. I mean, maybe the character models are a little bit simplistic or goofy. Doesn't bother me, honestly. I think the whole thing really feels pretty cohesive. If you really want to get into things, though, maybe the final version could have slightly more, you know, articulated models, but it's not really a thing I think most people are going to have a gripe over. And, you know, if this is also playing to the strengths of people with maybe lower performance computers, the less you have going on in that respect, maybe the better. So maybe the choice to keep the models this simplistic of really just having them be a rectangle and a like a cylinder, just, you know, maybe that's to keep the resource allocation on the low side. I don't know how intensive the resources are on these lights and effects, but really, if you look at things, there aren't all that many of them, and the geometry of the level is pretty basic. The levels are not huge in scope for the most part, at least the ones that I've seen so far. And in general, I think, you know, good direction things are going in so far. I would like to see a lot more of this, and I assume this is a thing you're probably going to see me be playing more of in the future. I don't know if it's a thing that really I need to have a lot of videos or anything of on the channel, but it could just be, you know, a fun little diversion. Oh, I walked right into that one. I might like to see a little bit more, you know, oral feedback when it comes to, you know, the sounds of your robot exploding. Again, I do have the sound turned down a bit so you can hear my voice over things, and I know this is a common gripe when it comes to doing episodes where there is, you know, a good sense of music to the game, and I often tend to talk over it for the whole thing, but I would like to encourage you guys to go grab a copy of this yourself. It's not super expensive. and I think you'll get quite a bit out of it. So, you know, if you want to hear the music, go grab it. And also, I'll just be quiet for a second too. At least get a sample. So I think that should give you a pretty basic idea what to expect when it comes to the soundtrack. There's a bunch of electronica tracks, but they all sound lovely to me, and definitely keep the pacing going well. But without retreading too much of the same ground here, I think we should probably wrap up our episode today on Disco Dodgeball. Definitely recommend it, definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Links are all going to be in the description, so if you want to stop by and give a vote on their Greenlight page, that would definitely help out the developer. And of course, you can actually go ahead and grab the beta version of this right now, get in and play some Disco Dodgeball tonight, if you choose, of course. So links for that in the description, as well as my other links like my social media stuff, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Twitch page, and of course, indie-impressions.com, where you can head if you want to go check out nearly 600 other episodes in the series. If you're looking for a specific type of game, they're all categorized and sorted over there, so hope you want to check out that site and find some other great indie games. And it looks like we're going to draw the same level again, but that's cool. Anyway, that's going to do it for another episode, guys. Please do come back again tomorrow. New episodes are every single day without fail, so I will see you then, and I hope you have a lovely night.